I made a checklist. Which account is best for you? Almost 4 months now since Top One launched into the future space, and after $13 million in payouts, they're still here. Now, I wanted to do a August 2025 rule update, right? Where Top One Future stands as of now. There were a few rule changes the past few months. There have not been any, thankfully, the past few weeks, right? So it's been a month or two without any rule changes, which I'm super happy about. So I was like, okay, where does Top One Future stand as of today with the rules? So let's get to it. Now, I've prepared something very, very cool. Top One Futures for Dummies. I've put here every one of their programs laid out in a very, very simple way to understand, use, and also go through. And at the end of this video, we're also going to go through some extra stuff, okay, that you can use and utilize on Top One Futures, okay? Now, let's start with the one-step elite challenge. Okay, we're going to go through all different account types with Top One Futures right now. You have an elite challenge, you have an instant sim funded account, and you also have a straight to funded sim pro account right here. We're going to go through all the differences together and what each one of these programs entails. So starting with the elite challenge right here, rules and objectives. We're going to go through a $50,000 account on all one of these account types, okay? So a $50,000 elite challenge is going to cost you usually $99 per month, okay? Now, the discounted monthly price, if you use the code TLKV, will be $49. I know on the Top One Futures site right now, you have a 45% off sale. They were generous enough to give my viewers an extra 5% on top of it. So it's only $49 as of right now if you're watching this video. So up to this point, you have paid $49, as you can see right there. Now, on this program, you have a profit target objective of $3,000, okay? That's what you have to hit for this challenge to be completed. And you also have one rule, which is a maximum loss limit of $2,000 end of day. Now, if you violate this rule, the account will become temporarily ineligible for funding, okay, due to the success criteria not being met. In order for your failed account to be eligible again for funding, you need to reset the account and your Top One Futures dashboard, which will cost you $39 for every reset. You could do this or wait until your rebilling date and you'll get that reset and get charged that monthly fee, okay? Or open a new account, right? You could do either or. So again, once you hit that maximum loss limit, the account cannot be traded anymore. Daily loss limit, there's none. There's no daily loss limit on these accounts. You have a maximum position size of 5 minis or 50 micros, and there is no consistency rule on the challenge, okay? You can pass in one day. If you're able to make this $30,000 in one day, you have passed the challenge. Now, let's say best case scenario, right? You do hit that $3,000 goal and you pass the challenge. Your monthly subscription will be turned off, okay? And you will need to pay a one-time $149 activation fee. No matter what buying power size you have, it will be the same for all account types, okay? Now, here you pay $149, so the true cost of funding is $198, okay? Considering we paid $49 to start the challenge, and we're also paying $149 to activate the account. Keep in mind, this true cost of funding is if you pass this challenge in 30 days, okay? Because if not, you will get rebilled again the same price that you paid, okay? Now, the SIM funded account, how does it work? The SIM funded account is where you can start taking real life payouts, okay? You can make money, take payouts, goes to your bank and use it, okay? You can go to the deli or buy some nice clothes for yourself or anything you like, okay? Now, the maximum loss limit still applies, and if you violate it, you will be presented with two options. Option A, restart the whole process and pass in the lead challenge again, right? So from here, we go back up top and you have to restart the whole process. Option number B is you can reset your SIM funded account for $299. It's a very interesting option that Top One Futures, not many other platforms will have this option for you. With Top One, you do. This price will vary depending which account size you have. For a $50,000 challenge, which we're discussing right now, it's $299 if you want to reset your funded account, okay? You don't have to go through the elite challenge process again, okay? Now, you're allowed 3 SIM funded accounts at any point in time, and there is an inactivity rule, okay, which you must trade at least one time per 14 calendar days to keep your accounts active, okay? Now, the payout policy, which I feel like everyone is waiting and wants to know what the payout policy looks like. From the start, the trader will receive 90% of the payout amount and top on future retains 10%. This is the split from the start of your account. So here's the payout eligibility criteria, which is needed between each payout request. You need these 3 points right here. Number 1, you need to reach a 25 consistency, which also translates to at least 4 trading days. I also have that explained a little bit lower right here, okay? So no single day profits should exceed 25% of the trader's total profits over a given period, okay, over that payout period. Here's the calculation. Your biggest end of day P&L, right, what your P&L is at the end of the day, once the day has closed, divided by 0.25 is the total balance needed before payout request. Now, if it's confusing, you can also do the math backwards, right? So the total balance needed before you request a payout, as you're going to see in a minute, for your first target, it is $3,000. Okay? Now, we know this. We're just left with this. So basic math here, you can just cross multiply. Basically, 3,000 times 0.25, you get this 750, which is what your biggest end of day P&L should be in order to be eligible for your first payout as fast as possible. Okay, so as long as you don't surpass the 750, your target still maintains, right, still stays the same. Important to say, the consistency rule resets after every payout and will be calculated based on new trading profits made after each payout. I do also have a YouTube video which I go more in depth on the consistency rule. I'll probably link it in this video. Now, let's continue with the payout criteria. You need to trade for at least 10 trading days or any time with the add-on. There's going to be an add-on at checkout which asks you, hey, do you want to purchase this? And you can get a payout anytime. Now, what that anytime means is basically it's removing this second criteria. The first criteria still stays. The third criteria still stays. It just removes this. Okay, so you still need the 25% consistency and you still need to hit your payout goals. So you have payout goals. Your first payout, you need to achieve 6% profit of your starting balance, which is basically that $3,000 that we just talked about. Your second payout is to achieve a 5% profit relative to the balance you had after your last payout, okay? So if you are left with a $52,000 balance, that 5% is calculated from that number. So whatever is left after you take that payout from your account. And the third payout and every other payout after that is 4% profit relative to the balance you had after your last payout. You do have a minimum and maximum payout amount. So there is a minimum payout percentage that a trader can withdraw, which is 1% of the starting balance. And since we do have a $50,000 account, that is $500. There's also a maximum payout amount, which is $2,500 for these specific accounts, okay? So this is your range, basically, that your next payout could be on a $50,000 account, anywhere from $500 to $2,500. A couple of other information here on payouts. Once your payout is approved, your funds are immediately withdrawn from your account. Once it's done, your account is also paused until those funds are processed and go to your bank. Okay, so your account will be paused until all of these funds are completely withdrawn and processed from the funded account. Okay. There is one payout method right now, even though I'm told there is a second payout method that's going to be launching soon. RiseWorks, okay? RiseWorks.io is the current payout processor, which funds can be withdrawn through a bank transfer or crypto. And when you qualify for and request a payout, the maximum drawdown locks in at your initial balance plus 100, so $50,000 and $100, okay? No matter what the drawdown was at that moment in time, it will automatically move there once you take that first payout out. So that's all when it comes to the Elite Challenge, okay? That's all you need to know. That's how the challenge works. That's how the funded account works, the payout policy, and the consistency rule, okay? Now, let's talk about the Instant Sim funded account, which with Top 1 Future, these are the most popular accounts. So a $50,000 Instant Sim funded account is going to cost you usually $648 as a one-time fee. If you use the code TLKV, you actually get it for 50% off right now at $324. Again, It's not a challenge. You are instantly funded. There's no monthly fees here. Okay, so you pay 324, and that's actually your true cost to funding as well, 324, because there's no other activation fees or such. There is still a maximum loss limit of the same amount, $2,000, and also end of day, okay? Which if you violate, basically you can go back to the funded account, right, and retry it. There's no such thing as a reset or anything like that, right? You have to basically buy a new account. There's no daily loss limit here either, and the maximum funded accounts are 3 years as well. And activity rule stays the same here as well, which you must trade at least one time per 14 calendar days. Now, the payout policy, what is the same and what is different compared to the funded accounts you get from the Elite Challenge? The split is the same, right? So the trader receives 90% of the payout amount and top one feature retains 10%. Now, the consistency rule does change, okay? It's a 20% consistency rule compared to a 25% consistency rule on the Elite funded account size. This translates to at least 5 trading days. So if we go and look at the calculations there, okay, no single day profit should exceed 20% of the trader's total profits over a given period. With that same calculation that we did earlier, right? If this is 3,000, which is the balance we need, cross multiply, we get 600, okay? And that's why it takes longer, right? It's 600, 600, 600, 600, 600, right? And you get to that $3,000 payout. You need 5 days of $600, right? And again, it could take longer. We're just talking about the quickest way to get to that payout. It will take those 5 days compared to a Elite funded account, which was 4 days, because you could make up to 750, which is a little bit more. So it is a little bit more stricter as a policy for the instant funded accounts. Criteria number 2 is the same, 10 trading days or any time with the payout. Payout goals are the same, 6%, 5%, and 4%. Minimum and maximum payout amounts are the same, $500 to $2,500. And the other information and payouts are the same, right? So once your payout is approved, the funds get withdrawn from the account. RiseWork will be your payment processor or your payment method right now. And your maximum drawdown moves to $50,100 once you get that first payout. And that's really it when it comes to the instant funded accounts, right? The new account types, which Top One Future has launched recently, called the straight to funded Sim Pro accounts. That's a long word, I know. I like just to call them the Pro accounts, right? The Sim Pro accounts. Here's the differences, and here's what is the same with the other accounts types. This is going to be a little bit different, okay? So pay attention because it is a little bit different compared to the other account types that we just witnessed. A $50,000 account will cost you $399 usually, or $199 if you use the code TLKV, right? You get that 50% off as of right now. Paid $199, true cost of funding $199. That's all your costs into this, and you get a funded account. Again, not a challenge. This is a funded account as well. Maximum loss limit, which results in a rule violation, there's 2 changes here, okay? It is slightly lower, so as you can see, it decreased from 2,000 on the other account types to 1,625, and it's intraday compared to the other 2 account types, which were end of day. I do have a video that literally just talks about the differences between intraday and end of day. I'm going to link it somewhere on this video so you guys can watch. But in conclusion, it is a little bit more difficult as a drawdown, and that is why these accounts are way cheaper than the other account types. There's no daily loss limit, and the maximum funded accounts you are allowed here is 5, so you can actually get more leverage on these types of accounts. Now, I want to note though, you cannot copy trade these accounts with other types of accounts, right? So you can only copy pro accounts with pro accounts, and they have to be the same size as well. You cannot mix and match and copy trade with the other account types. An activity rule does stay the same every 14 calendar days. You have to take a trade, even though it could be a few seconds. You have to take a trade for that account to stay active. Payout policy, a few changes here as well. The split remains the same, 90% split from the start. Now, here the first criteria still is 20%, but it changes to something called the equity stability score. Now, I don't want you guys being confused, so that's why we have an explanation for that. and also YouTube video that I made just for the equity stability score, okay? Now, a trader equity stability score should be below 20% over a given payout period. How is this different with the consistency rule? So the consistency rule, all it did was the largest winning day divided by 0.2, and you got that total balance. Now with the equity stability score, they're also adding the largest losing day in here, okay? And I should say the absolute value of that. So what does that mean? Let's say your largest winning day is $600, okay? You can still get the payout in the same period as you would get with a 20% consistency rule, okay? Because you just have winning days. But if you also have a losing day of, let's say, negative $200, now they're going to take the total of these two, again, absolute value, so $800, and then they're going to put this into this equation up here, 800, and if you divide that by 0.2, you're going to get a bigger number than the $3,000 goal you actually have. So with these types of accounts, not only you have to be careful with what you're making, but also the losing days that you're having. Because if they're too steep, if you have big losing days, these accounts will not be for you because it will skew your equity stability score quite a lot. And again, if you want a deeper understanding, I actually, again, have a video on YouTube with a calculation, with more examples and so on. But it is more difficult as the other consistency rules. Now, the second criteria, you have to trade for at least 10 trading days. And here's what's different. At least 7 of those days having a profit of 0.1% of your starting balance, so $50. So with the other account types, all you had to do was trade on that day. You could lose money, you could make $2. It would count as an active trading day for those 10 days in total. Here, 7 of those need to be over $50 in profits. And you will not have an add-on at checkout to buy for anytime payouts. That does not exist for these types of accounts. Payout goals are the same, 6%, 5%, and 4%. One thing to keep in mind is for the pro accounts, only when you request your first payout, so when you request this payout here, does the maximum loss stop trailing and locks at $50,000 and $100. That's the only time it stops trailing. Minimum and maximum payout amounts, they stay the same, 500 to 2,500. Other information on payouts, these stay the same as well. So those were the 3 account types with top 1 futures. A lot of information, but that's all you need to know. Okay, there's no need to go in their FAQs and start reading and start asking questions and not understanding what's going on. This is all you need to know. I also included some of the more in-depth YouTube videos to understand what the equity stability score is about, what the consistency score is about, what the intraday versus end-of-day drawdown is about as well. One thing for all of these accounts, some other notes that I have here, all 3 accounts have in common. You cannot hold trades overnight, okay? Using bots and trading algorithms is not allowed either. You can trade the news, and there's also this thing called a 10-second minimum trade duration rule, okay? Which trades need to be open for at least 10.01 seconds. Now, top 1 feature understands occasional violations, right? Because things happen. But if a trader has anywhere close to 50% or more of your total withdrawable profits, or 50% of their trades, profits from those trades will be removed from a trader's account. Okay, so let's say you had 16 trades in total. If more than 8 of them were under 10 seconds, okay, these profits from these 8 trades would be removed. Okay, or if you are requesting a $2,000 payout, but more than 1,000 of those is 10-second trades, right? Those profits would be removed. So careful with micro scalping. Now, for the goodies. There's a couple of charts here which I added as extra stuff just to help you guys, guide you a little bit more on all of this information that we just went over here. Okay. Now, talking about number of days. So right here we have the elite challenge. Right here we have the instant funded accounts. Right here we have the pro accounts. Minimum days to pass an elite challenge is going to be 1. Okay, so right here. Quickest way to be payout eligible if you buy the anytime payouts add-on is 4 days, right? So it's these 4 days. 4 plus 1 equals 5. So with these accounts, the quickest way to get a payout is 5 days. Now, if you don't purchase the add-on, it's going to be 11 days, right? So 1 day to pass, right? Quickest way, because it can take longer. So 1 day, and also at least 10 trading days. 1 plus 10, that's 11 trading days. So it's either 5 or 11 with the Elite Challenge account. The instant funded accounts, minimum days to pass, obviously that doesn't exist. Quickest way to be eligible for a payout, if you have the add-on, it's 5 days right here. Okay, 5. If you don't buy the add-on, it's 10 days, right? So here was 5 days and 11. Here's 5 and 10. The pro accounts, minimum days to a payout doesn't exist because they're instantly funded as well. Quickest way to be eligible is going to be 10, okay? Because there's no add-on. So quickest way to be eligible for a payout is going to be the instant funded, which you'd get that in 5 days. The Elite Challenge, depending on how long it takes you to pass the challenge, right? Because if it takes you longer, then obviously it's more than 5 days. And then we also wanted to put this together, talking about max allocation, because a lot of people talk about, okay, I just want to have like a lot of accounts, copy trade them together. Like, what can I do with top 1 futures? Like, what's the max allocation? So for an Elite Sim funded account, you're allowed 3 accounts, being 150 the biggest type of account that top 1 has. 450 is the max allocation. For the instant sim funded accounts, it's the same, 3 equals 450,000. But for the pro accounts, you're allowed 5 maximum accounts, meaning 750 max allocation. Now, you can also have one of the combinations below, but cannot copy trade between different account types. So you can have 3 Elite Sim funded and 5 pros for a total of $1.2 million in max allocation. You just can't copy trade across the account types, right? So you can copy trade the pro accounts together and the sim funded accounts together, right? And you can do the same for the instant sim funded accounts. 3 and 5, $1.2 million in max allocation. And lastly, I made a checklist. Which account is best for you? Okay, with this checklist, here's how it's going to work. I ranked, or I put here qualities for each account type. Now, I want you to start checking off these boxes to what makes sense for you, what you prefer, okay? Whichever list has the most checked boxes, that's the right account size for you. So if price matters for me, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. If I'm an advanced trader, I'm going to do advanced, so here and then here. If I prefer an end of day drawdown only, end of day is only these accounts here. Okay. If I want to skip the challenge completely, right? So challenge, obviously this is a challenge. I want to do this here and I want to skip the challenge right there. If I am a scalper, I want to do this right here. Okay. If I am okay with paying more upfront for speed, I'm going to do this. If I am someone that manages good risk management, don't have very large losing days, I'm going to do that. And you can start asking yourself more questions like that, right? Just check, literally check what calls you, right? Hey, okay, I want the lowest cost of funding. Boom, check that, right? Once you're done checking off all the boxes, see which one has more checked boxes. That's the account type for you. I hope this video helped. We did put a lot of work putting all this together, make it super easy for you guys to understand what Top 1 Futures is all about, understand which type of account is right for you. And we also got a steal for you guys, right? As I said, any of these prices that you see on the screen will not be available on the Top 1 Futures website. Only at checkout, if you put the code TLKV, will you get these types of prices, because we were able to secure that extra 5% off for a 50% off sale for you guys. As always, feel free to share, like, and subscribe. It does help the channel grow quite a lot.